They weigh about 5 pounds each. These shoes are 11 and a half. I wear 7.5. So I got a lot of room in here.
I think we should see the tracks.
Right.
I think we should maybe slightly wider.
How about standing him in where you think he should be,
Yeah,
or somebody?
Yeah, that's perfect.
He was born in 1895 in the town of Pickaway, Kansas. Shortly afterwards, a cyclone came along and Pickaway, Kansas blew away. However, Buster Keaton had already decided that his future lay elsewhere.
Turn them over anytime you're ready.
Now, if we just slightly...
Just off the sign.
Yeah.
Right.
He spent his first 35 years becoming one of the most famous comics in the world. The last 35 years have been a bit rocky, but Buster is still doing business.
It's somehow better if you don't walk over the tractor. You stand this side and just look like that. After you've looked at the sign and we see a close-up of the sign, and you react to the distance, you see, and then you look that way, then you see the car there, then you kind of walk up towards the speeder, and you sit on it, and just see you go off down there. Okay. Stand by. Okay, roll.
Here is Keaton on Canada's East Coast, about to star in his 87th movie, a 25-minute color short called The Railrodder. In it, he will travel from the Atlantic to the Pacific in a runaway railway speeder. The director is Gerald Potterton, whose films have been twice nominated for Academy Awards. For Potterton, this is a rare opportunity to work with a master. A second film crew made this record of them at work.
Come here, Hal.
Come back here.
Come here, Hal. As I go over the sideline, he should raise.
He should raise up, yeah, right. He wouldn't even bother to chase you.
Well, there's no use.
No point, no. I don't want to ask him to act.
No, that's not.
Could take his head off and just throw it
Oh,
down.
no.
He wouldn't do that,
Oh,
though,
well,
would he?
no, I mean, not only that, you're asking him to act when he does that,
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
That's when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I was told Louis B. Mayer that, too. Every time they photograph him on these weekly things or
Yeah.
something like that, greeting them. Be just exact. Don't act.
Louis B. Mayer.
But my God, he could act in an office.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, put on the damnedest performances you ever saw.
Yeah. What sort of...
Hysterical, cry, moan,
Banging a desktop?
heartbroken, a beaten down old man.
Oh, terrible.
Oh,
Terrible.
and especially for the women.
Around 1915, everybody started going to the movies, and the great days of slapstick comedy were on. There was Larry Seaman and Ben Turpin. There was Harry Langdon and lovely Mabel Normand. The greatest of them all was Charlie Chaplin, and next to Chaplin was the man in the horn-rimmed glasses, Harold Lloyd. There was Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy and Mack Sennett's Keystone Cops. One of the cops was Fatty Arbuckle, and before long, Arbuckle was working on his own. In 1917, Arbuckle talks a young vaudeville comic into trying his hand at the movies. The young comic is Buster Keaton. This is Keaton's first picture. In it, he was hit by a bag of flour, bitten by a dog, and smeared with molasses. It seemed easy after vaudeville. Buster was in the movies. In vaudeville, Keaton had learned that the laughs came when he played it deadpan. So he brought the great stone face to the movies. On top of his deadpan, he laid the world's flattest hat. He was free of the vaudeville stage. He had all of Southern California to play with. He had all the props and all the space he could use. In the midst of chaos, he placed his still, silent face and proceeded to transfix a generation. They surround him with kindred spirits, give him his own studio, and let him run free. Soon his pictures are grossing 10 times their cost, and Keaton is making $200,000 a year. He has a stable of gag men and a press agent to churn out publicity stills, like this. He doesn't have the business sense of his friendly rival Charlie Chaplin, but that doesn't seem to matter when the whole world is laughing and you can spend $14,000 moving some trees from the front to the back of your house. At parties, Douglas Fairbanks swings from a trestle above his swimming pool. He plays baseball with Tom Mix, trades insults with Sam Goldwyn over bridge, and executes elaborate practical jokes on Adolf Zucker. There are 3 cars, 6 servants, 2 children. He is married to one of the rich and famous Talmadge sisters. It is 1927, and Keaton is riding high. By 1933, his wife and children, his house, his money, and his job are gone. Buster Keaton is an acute alcoholic. Today, he can again make films in pantomime. But when the talkies first arrived, you were expected to talk. And when Buster talked, it seemed to destroy his intensely silent style. Any chance he had was wrecked by bad scripts and mass production methods. By then, there was trouble with women and a bottle of whiskey a day. Somehow, Keaton hung on in the movies and picked himself up.
Why don't you try?
He churned out cheap shorts for Columbia Pictures and worked as a gag consultant for the big new comics at MGM.
Hold it a second, Buster. We're just going to boost you up a bit.
Through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, he took work where he could get it. In European circuses, bad Mexican movies, Canadian burlesque houses. Then the air conditioning in a storage vault broke down, and the negatives to some of his greatest films were destroyed. But the great talent was still working, and he's again traveling first class. On this film, he has a private railway car, a chef, a steward, and a press agent. His drinking now consists of an occasional beer. His children and grandchildren are again part of his family, and he and his third wife, Eleanor, have been happily snapping away at each other for 25 years.
Why is that first string so tinny? Should be raised in a whole octave or something? Well, in the first place, the whole thing is tuned too low.
Why would you just have fun?
He's been insisting for the last 3 or 4 years that he is at least partially retired and intends to retire completely until the phone rings. But then he'll turn right around and tell somebody he's retiring. It wouldn't work out. Because if the phone didn't ring for a month, he would feel terribly neglected and abused because nobody wanted him anymore. Nobody loved him anymore. Nobody wanted him to work anymore. But deep down, I know darn well that he enjoys working or he wouldn't say yes.
The movie crew follows Buster across Canada. It's taken 10 days to get from Halifax to Montreal. The crowds have all seen him on television, live as a guest star, preserved in the movie classics. 3 generations and a multitude of nationalities have now all laughed in the right places. There is no longer doubt of his immortality.
Oh, how do you do?
Hey, Buster!
There you go.
It's a Beetle.
One of the local Beatles.
That is beautiful.
That's what you're going to need for Banff and Jasper when you get out there.
Oh,
They got snow out there.
you heard that already?
Yeah.
Mr. Keaton, may I have your autograph, please?
Monsieur Keaton?
Try this on for size.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
Three trucks or more, like that. You're coming along this way, and an engine just with a caboose, with a big locomotive. Cameras behind you traveling with you. So that you got the thrill of that being on the same track with you, coming right at you.
Right.
And just about the time he reaches this switch is when you see him, and all you do is this. He goes onto that track, and you go to this one. See?
Put it back up 1 inch, gentlemen.
It's great. Yeah, that's
And
good.
it's as sure
Yeah, that's a sure fun.
the suspense is that you don't pay any attention to us. That's all there is to it. Wave them off.
Every time you're on company
Beautiful.
Get out of the way.
Right, the other side. Yeah, points of motion.
And I don't want you to worry about it. I'll miss him.
Well, I'll worry about it if you worry about it, but you don't worry about it. You think you'll miss him all right, eh? Eh? You're gonna miss him, okay, eh?
Well, I'll miss him.
Otherwise, it'll be a very short movie. Moses. Perfect. Beautiful. He looked and watched the train go by like that.
At the age of 4, he was in his family's roughhouse vaudeville act billed as the Human Mop. His father once picked him up and threw him at a heckler in the audience. The governor of New York once required him to strip naked and prove that he had no bruises. He spent 1 day of his life in school. He also survived 3 train wrecks and 5 hotel fires.
That was the rehearsal.
Look, can we do it once more?
I mean, can we?
Eh?
Want to get the train out first.
Okay.
Get the train out, then we'll do it.
It's just the slowing up, on the switch.
Well, yeah, the timing was off, and Buster had to slow up a bit.
And I took my time starting out to give him a head start. I saw his puff of smoke go up, and I gave him what I thought was plenty of time, and I was still the God-blasted switch before he was.
Well, he's also gauging his speed for you, too.
Well, he shouldn't, because I can pick up faster than he can.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I thought. Well, let's, I'll see what what's his name thinks.
We back up about another 50 feet this time further, too.
Keaton didn't sleep very well last.
No, he said the night before last he slept all right, but last night for some reason he didn't. He just thinks he's excited a bit.
Yeah.
But he says he feels okay now. And he's the only one that doesn't seem to care at all.
I think you're worrying too much.
No, so.
He's been doing this for years, Jerry.
After that, you get
You know, he broke
over
his neck. And, you know, these towers, these water towers? Well, it opened up on him and knocked him down on the rail, and he didn't know for 3 months that he'd broken his neck.
Oh, my.
You know, he's a bit stiff in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's broken every... He said he's broken every bone in his body, one way or the other.
Nobody ever thought to ask him what he wanted to be when he grew up. If they had, he expects he might have been a civil engineer. Instead, he became the world's greatest inventor of the mechanical gag. His films were based on a fatalistic struggle with the mechanical forces of the world. His human beings were generally depersonalized. But in his presence, inanimate objects came to life. Deck chairs, steamboats, locomotives, and waterspouts. There were no doubles and no special effects. It was a real Buster Keaton on a real train, and the cameraman had orders to keep shooting until Buster yelled cut or was killed. Of Keaton, the great critic James Agee once wrote, "He brought pure physical comedy to its greatest heights, and underneath it all there was a freezing whisper, not of pathos, but of melancholia."
I think Laurel and Hardy, I mean, you say they're sort of grotesque, also very, very subtle.
They did it too real, and the entire plot was not understanding a traffic officer. That was the plot. They picked out 7th and Broadway, Los Angeles, and then put a cop like Ed Kennedy out there in those days in the middle of the street where the cop says, just turn this way, turns around this way, and Stan Laurel in the first place, and he says, he wants to see us. So they both got out of the car and came down to him. Says, what do you want? He says, what I want, what? Whose car is that? He says, well, that's our car. He says, we'll get in it. All right, so they go back into the car. The guy, no more gets back. Gets, all right, sway. And back up a little bit. You go through. All right, come on. Well, the minute he did that, they come back and say, yes. Well, now traffic keeps piling up worse, see? So every time the guy did that, the guy in the car says, yes. That's all there was to the plot. This is a two-reel picture.
Now?
That's all he ever needed was something like that.
Now.
Are you all ready for your ducks? All right.
Yeah.
Ducks?
Whee!
Dun, dun,
Hey,
Buster wanted a wild duck dinner written into his contract. The assistant cameraman came through for him.
I'm kidding you. Oh, sir, you shouldn't have.
I got it. He did. He got him in the
now
head. There's no buckshot in the body at all. He got him in the head.
That duck's worth $5 a pound.
Beginning of the season.
Oh, that pretty blue.
Well, he won't get to Florida this year.
Oh, and he always liked Florida. Well, I gotta go wash now.
Keaton always claimed he got his best ideas in the bathroom. There is no place for the formal story conference in the grand Keaton tradition.
The hero of the day now.
Gags are improvised en route. And the duck has given somebody the idea for one.
Even if you've had another tunnel sequence before
There's
that?
only one thing that sells the gag. That a duck hunter, once lining up on a duck, is gonna shoot come hell or high water. So, for that camera, just missing the tunnel by 3 feet. He's just missing it. And as I come up, he pans maybe a little bit with me, but as I come into his shot, I bring my gun up to follow a flight. And when I get here, I shoot. And my gun is only about 5 feet from the tunnel when I shoot.
Right.
So I've shot right into it.
The whole gag is in panning, panning, tunnel, bang. He goes in it, boom, like that.
All you can see probably is the top of my hat and the gun barrel about that far. Slowly get that gun in position and get it. Just watch. Now to this shot. Bang. And we got it.
Bueno, but you've got to run up to here, see? No further.
Gary, boys, come on down towards me.
Keaton has the ability to use anything that comes to hand. In this case, there is a railway tunnel and a somewhat baffled work gang. The bewilderment is caused largely by the fact that the workmen speak nothing but Italian.
You come to this spot.
Keaton specializes in sorting out confusion.
You come down here to about here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. About in here, and you on this side. Yes, you. You see about where you are?
No, you should. I don't think you should pose them like that.
I don't mean to pose them. I mean, I'm just giving them a general spot to run to.
But they all run there and stand there like soldiers.
Well, you're never going to do it any other way with them. If they come running out there, they'll bunch up on you if you just told them to run out. But if they hit approximately those spots, and one man is completely hidden. You want to try it once? I'll be the scooter on foot. I clear the way for that thing coming through.
Senor.
And these boys here, don't go quite so far. Stop back in here someplace.
Senor Keaton. As you all come out this front like this. Then just watch it go by. Then pick up rocks and throw it like that.
What happened?
Huh?
What'd you say they did?
They should come out running like this. Fast.
Oh, yes, as fast as you can run.
There's no smiling.
Mad, like mad, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, start
Okay.
Start my scooter.
We're going to run it, okay?
Ci guardate la camera da ci guardate, mede per
Say mad. What's mad in Italian?
mad.
Angry.
Angry.
No, rabbia, no? Arrabbiato.
Rabbiat?
Yeah.
Rabbiat. Okay. I'm going to shoot you.
I can't handle it.
Making movies on location is no bed of roses. The clouds blot out the sun. Trains come through the tunnel. The actors go the wrong way. The waiting is endless.
Well, let's try it once this way anyway, and maybe it will have moved up by then anyway.
Well, the first one will be screwed up anyway, Rob.
Probably.
Okay, stand by. Okay. Okay.
Keep back.
Stop rolling.
They have been working for 3 hours, trying to make 10 seconds of funny film.
Don't forget tonight, a special show, When Comedy Was King, with Buster Keaton, Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy, and many other 20 stars. 2 shows at 7 and 9 p.m. So come on in to see the stars of the famous Roaring 20s.
Welcome to the
Town of Rivers.
Mayor and
Council.
Well, that's nice. Very nice.
Aren't you an honorary mayor at home?
Yeah, Mayor of Woodland Hills. That's in the San Fernando Valley, right back of Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. I've been the mayor there for over 5 years. I'm into my 6th year.
We'll have to tell him that when you see him, eh?
Yeah. Well, now, here's what we got. I think we ought to do is to invite the mayor and his missus and the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and his missus.
Yes.
There'll be 4 people. We've been feeding 10 in here. Well, if 4 of us stay here, with that 4, 8, and send 6 of our people over to the local restaurant. Oh, and notify them, too, that they're going to be swamped with business.
Right.
The local restaurant.
6-headed people walking in on them like that, I'll catch them short-handed. Last place in the world I expect to find a band as good as this.
Keaton has always been suspicious of the genteel, the sophisticated, the intellectual. Learned critics can write of his profound humor. He takes pride in the fact that he can still score a direct hit with a custard pie at 27 feet.
perform a little duty tonight, which is a great pleasure and won't take too long. And so, on behalf of the Golden Boys of Manitoba, I would like to make a little presentation to our guest of honor here this evening. Now, Mr. Keaton, I want to make you a Manitoba voyageur. Whereas Buster Keaton has been a distinguished visitor and a traveler through the Keystone Province of Manitoba, the gateway to the west, and whereby in days gone by, this route has been followed by other men of distinction, enterprise and repute, voyageurs, traders, trappers, missionaries, pioneers, explorers, adventurers, and men of state. Therefore, the said Buster Keaton is hereby designated the title of Manitoba Voyageur, dated at Rivers, Manitoba, Canada, September the 26th, 1964.
So we in the town of Rivers thought that we too would like to present him with some little token that he would remember us with fond recollections of the few days he spent here. And with it, Buster is a key to our fair community. However, we give it to you from the bottom of our hearts, and we wish you fond voyage, a good trip. And there's an old Scottish song that has one line in it, Buster. It says, "Will you know, come back again." Thank you, Buster.
He was known as the Little Iron Man around the studio. Nothing stopped him, or there wasn't anything he didn't try. He slowed down and come around to the line of thinking that he can do other smaller type things or less dangerous things that can be almost as funny. Well, he may not consider them as funny as falling off the whole top of a building or something like he might have done earlier, but they're funny enough to get by, let's put it that way.
But you don't want to bed because of the rain or something. He must have hurt himself. So now they're going to have to give a pitcher extra warm-up pitches, which is allowed if somebody gets hurt, of course.
What's this first pitch? High and inside.
The guy better be loose up there.
Better be good and loose, my friend.
There was little that was normal in Keaton's childhood, but whenever the family act hit a new town, he'd go looking for someone to play ball with. Later, in Hollywood, they'd interrupt a picture for a ball game when they got stuck on an idea.
Did you see the third base coach? He has fallen down. He got so hysterical he fell down trying to get that guy in.
I was helping him slide.
Ho, 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 ho. Yo, he didn't get it.
The umpire says he caught it.
We were going to have a fight.
He has a lifetime pass to any major league ballpark, but his enthusiasm has not always been shared. Once he took Marcus Lowe out to watch Babe Ruth. There were 70,000 fans in Yankee Stadium. Lowe was deeply depressed. He owned several hundred theaters, and baseball was killing his matinees.
And oh my God! Oh! They touched third base and called the runner out and scored. Get the hell out of the ballpark. The umpire's throwing you out once. He wants to call the police and drag you out.
Bye, Bob.
Bye-bye.
Go get a shower, kid.
Adios.
Why?
Out.
Look,
Now the umpire's about to slug him.
His personal dexterity in jumping around there like a mountain goat doesn't bother me. More what worries me than anything else is him catching cold, running around in rain and things like he's done a couple of times. Because with this chronic bronchitis that he has, he can go into pneumonia in about 3 days without half trying it, if you don't nip it in the bud. See, I'm traveling with antibiotics, pills, and everything else, so if he catches cold, I start him on them immediately.
Okay, Buster, slow it.
He's had pneumonia once already. The first morning when I talked to the doctor, he says if he lives 5 days, I'll let you know what I think. So, on the 6th day, why, that was it. He was ready to go home, looking like an octopus with all the tubes and the attachments here and there.
follower and went right in the tunnel.
He's very shy when he's in public around a lot of people that he doesn't know, strangers. He feels terribly trapped if he gets around people that mumble because he doesn't hear too well. I mean, I've known him to go through complete whole interviews. And when they leave, he says, you know, I haven't heard half of what they said. I don't know why, but I've never been able to get him to say, look, speak up and tell the man or the woman or whatever it is that you can't hear them. This is no great detriment to your male virility or anything else. But he seems to be ashamed of it. And of course, he hasn't heard properly since 1918. You'd think he'd be used to it by now. This is a condition he got in the First World War.
We stopped doing impossible gags because we knew an audience wanted to believe our story. And if we did...
There are people hired to keep a sharp eye on Keaton. When he begins to look trapped, they go to the rescue, and the conference is over.
Thank you very much. That was great. I'm sorry it was so big and fat.
And crowded,
For Buster, the press conference is one of the burdens of fame.
One of the guys walked Buster out on the windowsill doing some kind of an acrobatic stunt.
No, don't do it.
But there are advantages. He doesn't have to tip a head waiter to get a good table, and he has that other badge of stardom, the unlisted telephone number.
Ouch. Lie down. That's the best advice I can give him. Want a spotlight so you'll photograph prettier? There. That'll bring out the sweat on his brow.
I'm gonna sell her. I had a high heart.
On the board, you guys. Oh, yeah.
I had a high heart.
And he pulls out that car by a rope. No, the other guy's pulling it up or something. But he was playing baseball, and the guy's throwing pies at him, and he was hitting. And he threw something hard, and it hit his toe.
He has always appealed to children. At home in California, the neighborhood kids often come around to ask if Buster can come out to play.
You have no choice. The man threw an optional bid at you. So in other words, he intended to bid 3 clubs in the first place. You have no choice. It isn't a case of you.
I have a void.
3 clubs is all you have to
Doesn't
bid.
then what's the matter with 2-note drum?
3 clubs is all you have to bid.
Either. Okay, 2-note drum.
Yeah, well, that's saying a shutout too. And that lets me go into my 3 clubs.
If you want to, but you better stop and analyze the bidding.
Keaton has played bridge with the Marx Brothers at 25 cents a point. And at these stakes, thousands can be won or lost at a sitting.
Your original bidder. Yeah. Well, he's got something besides a heart in his hand.
That's what they say.
If we come back later, if we could have his autograph. And he says yes, if we come back later. And this is later.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'd go right over there right this minute and ask him for it if I were you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, let's go.
We'll do everything to keep him out of it, but he's going to try it.
I lead to 3-0 then. Have you settled?
Yes. Pass. Wait. What? No, I'll do it again. Pass. 1 heart.
Come on in.
Well done.
Give me Halloween.
I got any special page?
Under the K, please.
Under the K, that's right, absolutely.
We don't need anything on the tracks at all.
No.
Just get that wild little noise.
You can't see up through the tie.
No.
It's not that distance.
No, you just see the edges.
Beautiful trestle bridge.
Each new gag must conform to Keaton's law. The situations can be wildly outlandish, But it must be possible that the events on the screen could happen in real life.
Now, get out the map. Once I get it pretty well open and that wind catches it, it's going to wrap around me. So I cross that trestle, wrapped up in a paper, standing up in the car fighting the paper.
I'll tell you the locales we find.
Might be the funniest way to do it.
But I'll tell you what we
Well,
have
what do you
discovered.
think about that?
Well, there's another thing come along. See these little houses over here?
Yeah.
Well, in those houses live little speeders. About 6 of them.
little coloured ones.
Little tiny.
Oh, I see.
Imagine this, the long shot of the bridge, and suddenly, from left to right, 3 or 4 of these other little box speeders all come over.
That's a single track trestle?
Yeah, single track, yeah. They go across. Slight hold, then they all come reversed, all going like mad. And you're there waving them on. You're pushing them.
I chase them off.
You're chasing them on. Next shot, you cut to those little houses. The 4 guys come in, very quickly stop, take them off the tracks, just in like that, and you just shoot through, and that's the sequence.
And they all look out at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why, but I like that. Cleaning house. You get out the map to look at it just as I hit that trestle. Getting on it and getting scared, you're not going to mean anything.
Look, I'll get my pack because I want to draw it, and I'll show you what we're going to do.
Go shave, dear.
This is the shot of the bridge that we get.
Yeah.
We get the valley like that, this damn great big bridge.
We combine the 2 gags, the same thing. I don't know. I put my broom down, everything else, and I wonder where I am. Out with the map, and once I get it spread, I'm helpless. When I hear shot going across that trestle, it's all the funnier. I'm chasing them, but fighting a paper at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm still fighting paper, going fast, and 4 heads come out and look. That's all.
You don't know you've chased them out yet.
I don't know I've chased them out. I don't know I crossed a dangerous place either. And they don't feel like being run into, so it'll all work out.
God, going backwards. What's happening to that little man? Where's he going to? Your 3-track cars come in from left of frame and they go right through frame. We keep the camera rolling. Now when they get off the bridge, they have to reverse as quick as they can and then back up. Now when they back up through frame, Buster should be following them. Right. But does Buster know, why the hell is he backing up so far? Tell him time's running out.
We got to stretch the sun, so if you want to let him go.
Huh?
And be ready to roll when you tell it.
Yeah. Okay, bring the machine down.
Okay, all right.
Okay, just take it right in because there's a train coming from the east.
Okay, we're taking it right in.
The director has decided against Buster's idea. Instead of being wrapped up in a map, Keaton crosses the bridge doing his laundry.
Okay, cut!
But Buster is a very stubborn man. When he decides an idea is good, he hangs on tight.
What happened? Didn't he tell you what he was going to do?
No, I didn't know he'd shifted gags on me.
What did you expect it was going to be?
I thought I was going to be followed up with a map because I decided that last night. And I decided not to. I didn't know it. What makes it tough is that I can't match scenes. Because I didn't have it in my mind that way, so I don't know. If I went back now to protect this chase in close-ups, I wouldn't have the slightest idea what I was doing at the time I should be doing it. So I can't make scenes match.
Don't forget, there's still 2 other shots to complete the sequence, Buster. There's a long shot of the bridge with them going over. That's the whole center of the gag, is that long shot of the bridge.
No, the bridge is not your gag. The bridge is only suspense. A thrill. There's no gag to the bridge at all. That'd be a goddamn thing. It's only a dangerous place to be when there might be a collision. That's the only thing that's funny. That's right. It's only 465 cars, I think.
Well, I know the main reason they didn't want you going over the trestle with all wrapped up in newspapers and things.
Figure took a good look. The scene we did's a worthless scene. Scene you can't use. So it's a nice scene to have in some time when they just want to go and do a show to their friends or something like that. You don't use it in the picture.
Said it was too dangerous.
I says, who suggested the gag? He says, you did. He says, I generally know what I'm doing. That is not dangerous. That's child's play, for the love of Mike.
Don't tell me about it.
I told Lev. I do worse things in my sleep than that.
I know.
In my own backyard with a swimming pool, I take more chances than I do.
Here's the map. It's terribly strong.
Butcher doesn't carry white paper?
No.
That looked like it was a big sail going, but...
And you won't fall off?
No, certainly not. I took more chances washing clothes doing it because my feet were sliding all over the place on that car.
Yeah. Well,
I say, any time you're shooting gags or laying them out in advance, you so often are running into guesswork. Or maybe his way's better than doing it mine. And you try to sell yourself one way or the other because there is a certain amount of guess. Has to be. But every now and then, ain't no guesswork. This is one of them.
And so, as has happened fairly often in the past 60-odd years, it is decided to do it Buster's way.
On behalf of the National Film Board, I would like to wish you many happy returns of the day, October the 4th, 1964. Also, the Queen sends her regards.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I'm not very good at public speaking, but to show that me heart's in the right place, I'll fight any man in the house.
Oh, no!
Good.
Good heaven, Lily days to Betsy. Isn't that cute?
I better get a whistle.
That is.
Isn't that cute?
Buster was born into show business. For most of his 70 years, his birthday has been a traveling event.
Oh, what is that?
It's a real one.
A real steam engine. A really steam engine.
It's got a whistle on it and a valve.
Oh, the whistle.
And they all work. They work.
When he was a baby, his parents were operating a traveling medicine show. In partnership with an artful young man named Harry Houdini, they peddled snake oil to rustic America. The Keaton baby was called Joseph Jr. until Houdini saw him take a nasty tumble. From then on, he was Buster. When he was 3, his parents left the sticks and headed for the cities and the vaudeville stage. 2-a-day vaudeville was the national pastime. One historian called it a dig in the nation's ribs. It was rude, rough, sunny, and naive. 1899, Doc Statter's Theater, Wilmington, Delaware. Buster Keaton, age 4, joins his parents' act for a children's matinee. The adults laugh as hard as the kids. Buster promises to sleep late in the mornings and is allowed to stay in show business. It is an Irish knockabout act, the roughest of its kind. It consists largely of Buster being punched, trampled, and thrown at the scenery. His father's right arm is twice as strong as his left from throwing Buster around. His mother is billed as the only lady saxophone player in America. Although Buster loves the work, the law sometimes threatens. Then it is explained that Buster is really a midget. At 5, he does his own makeup. At 7, he is clouted for on-stage mistakes. At 9, he is in charge of travel arrangements. At 11, he is creating gags. There were movies now, but they weren't taken seriously. Buster's dad says that nobody is going to put the Keatons on a bed sheet at 10 cents a throw. Vaudeville was the big time. They cheered when Field beat up Weber. They were wild for the Canadian Eva Tanguay, who by her own admission had neither talent nor looks, but who made $2 million anyway. There was a young blackface singer called Al Jolson and a comic juggler by the name of W.C. Fields. The great Bill Bojangles Robinson taught Buster the soft shoe and the tap. And Harry Houdini, who had given Buster his name, had gone on from the medicine show to become the biggest vaudeville draw of all time. The Keaton act would lay off while Mother had a baby. Buster would memorize 30 pages of dialogue and go on the legitimate stage as Little Lord Fauntleroy. For a while, the act grew with the family. But by 1916, it was breaking up. They had offended the powerful Martin Beck and were taken off the big-time circuit. Anyway, Mother Keaton preferred playing pinochle. Father Keaton was spending most of his time in the saloon, and little Buster was getting too big to throw around. He decided to try the movies and brought his family out to share the golden years in Hollywood. He always remembered where it all began. Through the years when he had the world by the tail, through the years of humiliation and despair, the spirit of the vaudeville stage, the spirit to entertain, and above all, to endure, has carried Buster Keaton into an active, graceful old age.
Give me a June. In my arms, and with all your charms, meet stars above, and we'll make love. I'll hold you, and then enfold you. Dreams will come true. Just give me a June, the moonlight, come on, you rounders, and gather you near. Story I'm going to tell you about a brave engineer. Casey Jones was the gentleman's name, and on a 6-8 wheeler, boy, he won his fame. Rode out the station with a big heavy train, kept on going till he struck the main. Switchmen knew by the engine's moan that the man at the throttle was Casey Jones. Casey was a-going at a terrible pace when 444 stared him right in the face. Turned to the fireman and said, boy, you better jump, 'cause 2 locomotives are a-going to move.
Casey said just before he died, there's 2 more roads I would like to ride. Fireman said, what can they be? It's the Southern Pacific and the Santa Fe. Miss Casey got the wire that Casey was dead. All the children cried so hard they wouldn't go to their bed. Mammy says, children, stop your crying, 'cause you got another papa on the Salt Lake line. Casey Jones, you got another papa. Casey Jones, he's on the Salt Lake line. Casey Jones, got another papa on the Salt Lake line.